The final stop on my circular detour was right back here in Guelph, visiting Matt Soltys. Matt runs the Urban Orchardist. It's a consulting and tree care business that helps people create edible landscapes throughout the city and beyond. Matt's own backyard is a great example of a productive urban food forest, so we started there. But first things first, what exactly is a food forest?
So as opposed to just like grass and maybe an annual vegetable garden or, the occasional fruit tree, a food forest is more like all the layers of the forest. So like trees that become like canopy species eventually, like large trees, shrubs and smaller trees, vines, like an edible and medicinal understory.
Right.
So like all layers of things growing together in what can seem kind of a chaotic way, but is extremely lush and productive and just a different model of growing food.
So what do you think the potential is for local food production, like urban food production?
So I'm well aware there are like hundreds of fruit trees, pears and apples and cherries and peaches and so on, that are really mostly neglected. Much of this fruit can fall to the ground or gets, taken over by pests that people don't really know what to do with, and it becomes more of a burden. And so there's tons of potential if these fruit trees were cared for, pruned to be more disease resistant and easy to harvest. And if people knew more what to do with these fruit trees, and if there's more of a culture of care for them and excitement around them, I think there's tons of potential for, easily tens of thousands of bushels to be produced from existing trees, not to mention all the things we are planting all the time here.
To help people get the most out of their own food forests, the Urban Orchardist offers tree and plant care services, training, and design advice.
I realized that the skills I was developing, the skills in fruit tree pruning and troubleshooting pests and just a design and stuff like that were kind of rare skills. No one else was really offering these skills in Guelph as a business. Yet people I knew were like buying out fruit trees fruit tree nurseries of their fruit trees. And
right.
There's this huge interest in gardening and local food production.
And in his greenhouse, Matt cultivates fruit trees and berry bushes for home gardeners.
You can buy a fruit tree from a nursery, but no one really, besides some basic planting instructions, there's no instructions anywhere on like care and troubleshooting and training to be productive earlier in its life. For me, it's local food production, it's connection with nature for people of all generations, and it's about knowing where your food comes from directly out your back door.
Right, the connections. That's such a Taste Detours thing. I love it.
Yeah. And hopefully this as a demonstration site can inspire many other people to just see what's possible outside of the normal box of just gardens or fruit trees that stand alone.
To show me what a large urban food forest could really look like, Matt brought me to the orchard at Ignatius Jesuit Centre. It's a 1-acre fruit orchard on the edge of Guelph where Matt works planting, tending trees, and teaching workshops.
So Ignatius is home to the largest center of community garden plots in the city of Guelph. And there's already a large community engagement component of this whole center. And so with the orchard being right here, we are really positioned to be like a teaching center and demonstration center for what an established orchard is like and how to learn fruit tree care skills on an established orchard. So we run workshops here and have volunteers here. And I'm generally trying to transition it from a more monoculture apple orchard into a diverse community food forest.
Right, so community plays a large part in all of
It
this,
does,
of course.
Absolutely. With orchards and food forests and, perennials like berry bushes, they get more abundant each year. And I just love that as a metaphor for what our neighborhoods could become too. They could become more rich and abundant in connections each year. Because every year they really are producing more fruit. And there's more tasks required and there's more skills to be shared. And there's just many ways I think circularity is built into it. My vision for my business, the Urban Orchardist, and for Guelph, and for cities everywhere, is that I think this should be like a place full of food. I think I would love to see every yard in Guelph have at least one or more fruit trees. Every park could have a community food forest people can go and have celebrations in and harvest in and learn things from and meet their neighbors in. And I just think there is enormous potential to have cities become these like lush and productive places.